And we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, we're just gonna do it how we're reminded how to take care of these things. All right, now, but before we even start there, if we haven't done our job ahead of time, this doesn't make any sense at all. Because when are we supposed to overcome objections?
Before they happen.
When are we supposed to overcome these objections?
Presentation.
During the presentation, right? And if you've overcome them during the presentation, then it becomes a natural flow at the table, because a lot of it is reminding people what's going on. So again, what you're going to see should only take 10, 12, 15 minutes each. And again, we're just looking for the 3-touch close, overcoming those objections, and then top-down selling, right? Because we just want to see how we handle that. And everybody in here is professionals. We all handle them just a little bit differently, so we're going to do that. So, and overcoming it, and it starts with a killer presentation, right? We've done a problem-solution approach, making it personal for them, overcoming the objections throughout, and then you're leading them to the conclusion. But everybody's natural response is always no, right? We just want to say no. And I use the example of, if I have a broken washing machine, I walk into Home Depot and someone says, "Can I help you?" Your initial response is no.
I'm just looking.
Right? I just go look around at washing machines. Right? But I know I need help, but my natural thing is I want to say no, even though I'm walking out of there with a washing machine. So, so to just make sure you have to understand that's the mentality of a customer. So we're going to go over those 3 closes, and we'll just jump right into it. I've got 3 people that have just graciously volunteered to do this. They were voluntold, I think, to do this. And so just be patient with them, because even though we have a smaller group, we're doing it in front of our peers. And role playing, as you know, it just feels a little bit uncomfortable, but you know what, it helps all of us. So I'm just going to play just your typical customer as best I can. I'm going to throw them an objection, and we'll just see how they go with that. And hopefully we do it efficient enough to where we have just a couple minutes of discussion after each one, and then we can wrap it up. And I do want your input, because some of you might have fresh ideas of how to approach that objection. So, Ms. Amanda Foster.
Y'all be sweet, okay?
And of course, you know, I want the rep to speak loud enough for the room. It wouldn't be this normally. Obviously, with a room, you don't want everybody to hear everything you're saying. So, thank you. Here's my folder.
All right, Mr. Fielder, here's your application.
Okay.
Now, how can I help?
Nothing. You said reading half, right?
Absolutely. Let's start with this right here.
Okay.
I want you to go ahead. Are we doing a family membership or a single membership
Oh,
today?
Lord. No. I just need information.
Absolutely, and we're gonna get you all your questions answered. So, let's circle back to that. If you were to do a membership today, would it be for just yourself, or do you have a partner, a spouse, any dependents?
No, seriously, I really need to think about this.
Hey, and I'm gonna give you all the time to think about that today. I totally understand your concerns. A lot of our members that start their buying process with us tell me the exact same thing. We unloaded a whole lot of information, eye-opening stuff you might not have even known about. So why don't we go ahead and do this? Fill your first name out right here for me. I'm gonna make sure that you can get that lunch. I know I make better choices on a full stomach, and then I'll circle back.
I'm not committing to nothing right now.
Oh, no, just go ahead and get that squared away. That's so we can get you taken care of if you decide to move forward with it,
Okay,
okay?
thanks.
I'll be right back.
All right.
Nice.
Now, Mr. Fielder,
Yeah.
where have we landed with this right here?
What do you mean land?
Okay, so remember we talked about, do you have a family or a single? Do you
Well,
have a wife, a better half, any kiddos?
Well, I told you I need to think about it. I can't make decisions like this.
I understand. A lot of the information that we went over today, it's time sensitive, okay? And what that means is that it's good to go ahead, start thinking about it right now. Remember the Ellsworths?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what if they had left that day and said, you know what, I'm just gonna kick this down the road, save it for another day's worry? That would have put them in a pretty sticky situation. Do you agree? It wouldn't. My job today is to make sure that this is the last time that you have to think about this, okay? So, do you have a family or a significant other that you would be doing a membership with, just if you decide to move forward with it?
I do. My wife said.
Perfect, so here's what we're gonna do. Let me borrow your pen real quick. Make sure I don't leave the table with it. I have a track record. So we're gonna cross out those singles, and we're gonna go ahead and put that seminar pricing for the $5,800 in there. This is my way of saying thank you for having lunch with me today. And it's also my way of making sure that you understand this is time sensitive. this is a decision that it's time to make today. So go ahead, fill out the rest of this for me, okay? Put your wife's name in there, we don't wanna leave her out. I'm gonna go answer a couple questions and
And
we'll make sure.
to be
you're
clear,
registered.
there's no way I'm paying $5,800 a day. If I was to do anything, at monthly at best is what I would do.
That's beautiful.
But that's it.
I'm so excited to hear that you find value in this. I had a feeling about you. What we're gonna do, like I said, finish filling this out, and I'll be right back, okay?
All right?
I have a question.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Hilton, did you have a little bit more time to think about this?
I do, I mean, I really like what I heard, and I really like to think about stuff, but the monthlies, it doesn't seem like that big of a commitment, so I can always start with something like that.
Absolutely, and that's always gonna be a choice for you. But remember when we were walking through those pricing options, that lifetime membership, 67% of my members make that decision to protect themselves for the rest of their lives. It's a really wonderful way to go ahead and plan for this protection for both you and your wife for the rest of your life. How many times do you get a new copy of that Medicare New Handbook?
Every year.
Every single year. It is added, subtracted, your verbiage changes. None of that matters, okay? Because you're protecting yourself and your beautiful wife for the rest of your life, all right? Now, $49.60, go ahead and fill out the rest of the information right there. You're getting that lunch and learn pricing. My way of saying thank you for protecting yourself and your family.
I don't have 5,000, is there a way to, can I spread that out on a monthly?
You
like
mean you
that?
didn't come to lunch today with $5,000 in your pocket? That's understandable. Let me show you a way that we can actually take this and spread it out over time so that you've got the ability. Now, a lot of people, a lot of our lifetime members, they put it on their favorite credit card. They want those Sky Miles, they want those cashback rewards. Wonderful option. If that's not where you're at right now, we can talk about a way that we can go ahead and put a down payment, spread the rest out over 20 months. So you have a couple options for
Well,
that.
that's a financing thing, is it high interest and stuff?
No, it's not high interest, it's very reasonable. Over time, we're gonna spend about $200 in those processing fees. What you've got to decide is, are those $200 in processing fees worth it for you to spread that out and budget accordingly? If not, let's put it on a credit card and get those points for you. But if so, make the decision to protect yourself and your family in a way that makes sense for you.
I can say 50 miles or something.
Absolutely, so here's what we're gonna do. Let's go ahead and fill in this right here. We're gonna go ahead and get you that pricing. Here's your initial payment, okay? We're gonna go ahead and pay in full. Let's get those points.
Oh, okay, all
Okay,
right.
let's see that. Then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to put it on the calendar. It's done. So $49.60, I'm crossing this out. Because right here, you're never paying anything again. Okay, so this is your payment, then we're done. Do you want to use a debit card or a credit card or a bank draft?
Okay, all right, thank you. Quick observations, any quick, very constructive things for what you heard?
She was relentless.
What's that?
Yeah.
I said she was relentless.
Yeah, I think the word that is, listening to Brittany is assertive, right?
Yeah, assertive.
And I think it's so easy to not be assertive and just follow the path the customer's gonna lead us down. And just kind of giving up, right? And just saying, okay, and how many times do you just cringe? There's some state directors in here. If you're in the background and you hear almost first touch and you hear them giving a business card out, well, when you're ready, just go ahead and give me a call and I'll help you out when you're ready. No, there has to be that assertiveness or you're not going to achieve your income potential at all. So, all right, let's start out with a second example of somebody else.
What, can you go into,
Yeah, go ahead.
can you go into,
Yes.
can you go into when they say, cause I need to talk to my wife. I need to talk to my son.
One-leggers, yeah.
Yeah,
I did a call to me.
Well,
He was about
I'll use that
affordability.
as an objection for somebody
Okay,
else.
okay.
As my main objection. In fact, get ready, I'll throw that one.
If I can add one thing, always look for, you guys have all been in sales and stuff, there's the old, if I will, you close. And he threw a perfect opportunity out there when he was talking about, God, is there some way to break this payment up? You don't have to just tell them we have it, just say, well, if I can get you a payment, say, we can do 1,000 down today, would you then be willing to do a payment plan? And get him to make a commitment to that, because as soon as he says yes, you won't know, right? And then you can still go for the painful.
You wanna go next?
You handed it to me.
Well, okay, we're gonna get, let Lorraine go next. All right, okay, let's just jump right in there. All right.
Awesome, so thank you so much for showing up today. And what was your name again?
Carl.
Carl, so, all right, so what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna go ahead and get this to you today. And if you don't mind, go ahead and start filling this top portion out for me.
Okay.
I know that you're gonna have a lot of concerns, a lot of questions, but I'm gonna definitely address them with you. But right now, I want you to go ahead and start with this. I'm gonna go talk to somebody else, and I'll be back in just a moment, okay?
Why am I filling that out?
Right now, it's just for me so that I can remember your name whenever I come over here. We do have a lot of people, and I wanna make sure that I'm calling you out right.
Oh,
Thank
okay,
you.
all right, I can do that.
Good place.
So, thank you so much, Carl, for being in down here. Now, let me ask you a question, so we just talked about that, and I know that you want to get to eating your soon. But I do know that, I noticed that you were taking a lot of notes there a few minutes ago. What notes were it that you were taking? Can we sit down and look at those real fast? Let me answer those questions for you.
Sure, well, I guess when I was gonna try to make sure, I realize this applies to a lot of people, but for me, it just feels like, I feel like I have really good insurance, I've never had to have something like this happen to me, so, I'm sure, there's a lot of people, I'm sure that really use something like this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's a great concern. However, if you notice whenever we were talking, whenever I was going over everything that, it comes with all of the different options. But this is the thing, if you put your insurance book side by side with that Medicare U book, that medical necessity, and there's a lot of things that you're gonna look at, they are exactly the same. So there's no different verbiage, and every insurance company has the exact same verbiage.
But I do have a really good supplement through the state, and it's,
Okay.
I supplement, it just feels like they cover stuff when the other ones don't.
All right, so, just like we were talking about a few minutes ago, whenever Medicare doesn't cover it or your main insurance does not cover it, what is your supplement going to be doing? They're not covering it either. So you gotta remember that Medicare is going to be that highest goal up here. They're the one to kind of make or break any other insurance company. Every other insurance company is following along. So again, if they don't cover it, neither is that supplemental for you.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Okay.
So what plan did we look at here today? So, like we were talking about, that lifetime plan is gonna be your best option. So, are you single, are you married, what is, what do you?
I'm single.
You're single? Okay, so let's just go ahead and let's just cross this out here, and we're gonna put that 3,900 here, because remember, they're giving you that $600 discount today
Right.
for being here. Now, you know you get that ID bracelet, right?
Just for the lifetime one?
That is for the lifetime right there. So
Okay.
that lifetime's gonna cover you for the rest of your life. You're gonna get that ID bracelet. But let me ask you a question. Are you on any medications or anything right now?
No.
Okay, so, but whenever you go to the doctors and they're asking you all of those questions, and you have to try to remember everything,
Right.
you have to, try to remember all of that, all your history and everything. Did you ever think that you can actually pull that stuff off right there on your phone? You're not having to-
I don't know where it's at.
You're not having to remember all of that stuff, so that's one of the good benefits, again, with that lifetime plan. So, let's go ahead and get this started today. And what was your last name, Carl?
Fielder.
Okay, let's go ahead and get all of this on here. Is it ING or
Ian.
Ian? Good. All right, so I went ahead and I put your last name there. Go ahead and have your birthday and your address here for me. I'm gonna be right back. Go ahead and get out your form of payment, whether it be check or bank or.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up something on my phone about insurance, just to make sure what you said was true. I'm gonna look it up.
I want you to go ahead and do that for me, and I'm gonna come back and I'm
Okay.
gonna help you decipher everything that you're looking at,
Okay,
okay?
all right, yeah, give me a
All
minute.
right, awesome. Now, Carl, did you look at that stuff on your phone?
I did, and I do have a question. You have not mentioned this 5 year, and it's almost $2,000 less. It's 2160, is that right?
That is right.
Now, if I went and did something like that, down the road, would I get any credit if I wanted to upgrade?
Okay, so this is the deal. If you decide to upgrade during this 5-year process, you will get any form of payment towards your lifetime that is left over. However, remember, the lifetime's going to go up. So you're never guaranteed this price.
What's gonna go up? Oh, the lifetime.
Right,
In the
so
future.
remember, there's always inflation. So even if you were to pay from this 5-year over to this lifetime, you're still probably going to be paying more than if you just go ahead with this lifetime to begin with. Go ahead and get yourself protected, and if you ever decide that you wanna get married or to get somebody later, you can go ahead and, go into a family plan later, and I can help you with that, because I'm gonna give you all my information,
Gotcha, okay.
okay?
All right, and this is there, I know you said 3,900 is the discount of the thing, is there discount for paying cash?
We don't take any form of payment here. Remember, it is going to be bank draft or credit card only. I do not carry anybody's information or anything of their cash.
Just get out on cash. All right, okay, okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do the lifetime on it.
All right, so do you have that credit card with you?
Yeah. All right, how did she handle the objection? Thank you, Laura.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Lori, you're awesome.
Yeah, I think she did really well. Any input on what she had to face? Yes.
I deal with a lot of people that have the state, like federal government, they work for the federal government. That's called a secondary insurance, not a supplement. So if Medicare denies your claim, that state insurance can come in and pay for it. So I just wanted everyone to realize that there's a difference between a supplement insurance and a secondary insurance.
What state are you in?
Florida. But I mean, this pertains, a lot of my people are from New York. They will work for the police department or, fire, teachers. They have a federal, it's a secondary insurance. It's not under Medicare and it's a supplement. I mean, it's a secondary, not a supplement. So I just wanted, because you even said you had a state insurance. So that right there is a secondary insurance. So the Medicare has actually nothing to do with that. I just wanted to make sure that we're letting our families know the difference between the two. They do have a lot better coverage, doesn't mean they don't need MASA, that's for sure.
And I'll speak into this, maybe some other state directors should speak into this.
Yeah.
I always tell people, one, I am not a financial advisor, I'm not a counselor, I am not an insurance agent, right? My job is to present the benefits of MASA. And my job, technically, I believe, is not to understand every ins and outs of everybody's single coverage.
Right.
I am presenting the benefits of MASA. And if I've done a good enough job of presenting the problem, and even potential problem, and a really good solution, that's where I'm trying to lead them, right? If you get caught in the weeds of trying to understand every ins and outs of every possibility, you're done.
Yeah.
You are lost. Any input from y'all?
Yeah, I think that, we have something to offer everyone. And as many seeds as we plant through, different buzzwords and through different examples, we will get people thinking, whether it be about their grandchildren, whether it be about their mortal remains and their children not having to, pay for that. There is some example there that they need of our product. So no matter what they have, we have a reason for them to buy it. We just gotta get them to do it.
And let's think about it really, again, right now, our benefits just went up, right, to a whole other
Exactly.
level.
They don't even need cruise ship protection anymore. We have it, right? We have everything they need.
And think about the customer that is hitting you with, I've got this golden plan. That person is not the person coming in without 2 nickels to rub together. They've got a state pension, they've got this, they've got that. And how about maybe exploring those things that somebody might need, right? Well, you know what, did you travel? I like to throw it, in fact, I've noticed a huge difference in changing your wording from, how many in here travel? It's amazing how people won't raise their hand.
Right.
And then you say, how many of you would jump on a cruise ship and you found a discount on a cruise? They raise their hand. Hey, I thought you said you don't travel. They don't equate it as traveling, because all I did is jumped on a boat. I'm not traveling, right? But if you get them to admit something like that, now there's benefits that they need regardless of their coverage, like Sasha's saying, right? And so, I mean, for goodness sakes, the moment they travel, it's almost like this new one is like money in the bank, right? Not everybody, you gotta be careful, because if you're selling travel, the excuse is I don't travel.
Yep.
But if you've uncovered that person travels, for goodness sakes, if you go into get admitted to a hospital overseas, we're paying a $5,000 indemnity. Just for getting admitted. And what's the, if that's a real, that could happen. I mean, off the record, I joked with my wife, I said, that trip to Italy, I might end up in the hospital overnight one night, I'm just saying. But, just kidding.
I'm gonna eat and drink a lot.
Right.
I think the biggest thing is, you use this once, it pays for itself.
Yeah.
Period, over your entire life. We're bound to likely use it once. You use it once, it pays for itself, and you get all these extra benefits in there. 80% of ambulance rides happen from home, so whether you're traveling or not, you're gonna probably end up using this, and I pray that you don't, but you more than likely don't.
Right.
Just one quick thing.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get into the mindset that you're focused on air and ground ambulance. Remember everything else. So no matter if they have 3 different insurance policies, we offer so many benefits that they get in none of those insurance policies. Don't limit the conversation to ground and air. Start discussing the additional benefits. No matter how many insurances you have, your grandkids aren't covered by any of those insurances, and I'm sitting here telling you, I'm gonna be looking out for your grandkids as well. And number 2, medical necessity is real. It doesn't matter what insurance you have, even if you had 3 amazing policies, every one of them is gonna have the term medical necessity, medical necessity, medical necessity. So odds are the determination is gonna be the same, no matter how many insurances you have, so.
And psychology is huge on all of it. You find out what's important to each individual at the table, you learn about them, you ask them questions. Maybe you don't wanna turn it into travel, because like you said, they will do that. So you find out what's important to each individual. You don't let them say no, you walk away before they say no, right? You find out a little bit about them, then you come back and you dig deeper into that. And you find the solution to their problem and what's important to them.
Yep. And that 3-touch close gives you opportunity to do that. You gotta think about a solution. Like you answer, acknowledge it, understand their problem, give them some input, then give it some thought. And like Kevin said, there is even a perception of, well, I don't need all those other benefits. But there is that, one, if you haven't sold the core benefit slide, you're toast, right? They should buy our membership because of the core benefits. And if you've lost that, if you go up to the table and their first thing is, I don't travel what my sister does, I'm gonna call her, I'm gonna have her get this. That means I didn't sell the core benefits, right? So if the core benefits, ground, air, repatriation, hospital, I've sold that. And then the other ones, you can now, the number's bigger, right? We have, 40 benefits in a lifetime, right? That means 4 of them are arguable with insurance, actually 3, because repatriation is arguable, right? 3. So now I'm saying, all these people, I'm saying there's 37 benefits that I don't care what plan you have, right? It could be Donald Trump's medical plan. It doesn't cover all that stuff. None of them. So there are 37 benefits that have nothing to do with insurance. Get insurance off the table. It's not part of the conversation at that point. That is not part of it. It can be, it's an element, but 37 of our benefits have nothing to do with insurance. So the insurance one, not that it's easy, but it's still, there's something to defend against it.
One of the things that's helped me with my CON percentage is I've changed some verbiage on one of the slides that was the 3 most important for somebody. I call it my Price is Right section. We're gonna talk about the average cost of a ground ambulance to a hospital nationally, air ambulance nationally. So when I get to that slide, and it pops up 1,700. Before I pop that up, I go, who can tell me now who's gonna get the closest to the average price of a ground ambulance to a hospital nationally, not just here? 8,000, 3,000, 12,000. Ground ambulance, 4,000, 1,700. You win. I'm just kidding. Now, let me ask you this. We talked about medical necessity. If your insurance said that 1,700 wasn't medically necessary, that's not life-changing. How many of you, raise your hand if you'd find a way to pay that some way, somehow? Now, what's the average cost of air ambulance? 20,000, 15,000, about 50,000. Boy, you win. Now, back in 2010, when the Affordable Care Act came out, that was approximately 17,000. Look how much it's gone up in the last 15 years. Now, that's a different story than the 1,700. How many of you, if that happened to you and it wasn't medically necessary, That could be life-changing, right? Most people, when that happens, they don't have the money to pay, fall over to this category, because 2/3 of your bankruptcies are due to medical situations.
Um,
Now, when I come to the slide that says 496790 for a ground ambulance denied by Medicare and Blue Cross, this is just one policy. We black out names and policy numbers for privacy, but this was denied by Medicaid, by Medicare. Also, Blue Cross turned it down because it's in their contract. That's what I was told by the insurance lady. Now, if this 496790 happened to you, raise your hand if you'd probably find out some way, somehow, to get that paid. That's not life-changing. And I want every hand to go up, so when they say they can't do the 4,900,
Exactly.
I go, did you store it to me a while ago when you raised your hand? Because you raised your hand just like everybody else. Are you pulling my trigger, or you just give me an excuse?
Yeah, and absolutely, you know, in every industry, you talk about price conditioning. And at that point, our price conditioning is $5,000 for a family membership.
Right.
Very similar, but I focus on that slide, just like you said. And I go, there's people in the room that have never had an ambulance bill. So that means nothing to a lot of people. $5,000, that sucks to be them. But we're dealing with a group of seniors, and life is the same for all of us, right? It rains on all of us, the sun shines on all of us. Get everybody in the room to admit to something. Hey, have you ever had something in your life that looked like that and you weren't expecting it? Wasn't in your monthly budget, wasn't in your yearly budget. Everybody agrees they've had something. They've had a $5,000.
Well, they all raise their hand.
Yeah, and if they raise their hand and say, yep, I've had it, my yard had to get dug up, I had to replace this, a car broke down. I've had it, and what did we all do? We're resilient people. What did we do? We figured it out, right? And everybody, yeah, well, you gotta do what you gotta do. Figure it out. You've just got them to agree that they could come up with $5,000.
Yes, before they even knew what hit them.
Before they know you're about to ask for $5,000.
There's a bill right now.
Yep, use it once.
Protected for life.
And it's a product that's really hard to get people to think. They think, well, I don't need it right now. It's lifetime, right?
Yeah.
They could have this for 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, somebody that's 70 years old is living for 20 years. You know, you do the average on $5,000 over 20 years, what is that? $250.
Well, they
Cheaper
don't
than a
turn it off
AAA
if you
membership.
get 100. You
Right.
get 100.
Yes,
There's a
and then right over a third
bill,
one.
there's a bill right now that Greg told me about that's being addressed, and they may write it into law, that they're gonna start denying bankruptcies based on medical bills. Some people say, oh,
I
just
think that's
declare
per
bankruptcy.
state too, it could be.
Well, in Minnesota, if you make over $45,000, you cannot bankrupt medical bills.
Wow.
Here in Texas, they can't garnish your wages for different things, so that's pretty cool.
Ah.
So
Right,
every
right.
state's a little different, it doesn't matter, at the end of the day, you just overcome every one of those bills, there's a reason for them to buy it, right?
Right, and again, just, I don't wanna negate any of that stuff, don't get sidetracked with getting so caught up in the weeds of all those things. We can all get so crazy in the weeds. We're here as a mass representative, highlighting all these benefits and making them realize this is attractive. There's a real problem, a real potential, here's the benefits, and I want it. Like, lead them to lead them to it. You should be leading them to making a decision. Now, it's not gonna be easy, just like I said at the beginning. I need a washing machine, I'm still gonna tell the sales guy no, right? But you're leading them to want it, now you're helping them make that decision. You're actually doing them a favor, helping them, right? So don't get caught up in the weeds of, what about this law, what about that, what about this situation? What if their insurance does cover it? I don't care, I'm not that expert. I'm a massa expert. I'm expert at presenting our benefits, making it attractive to them. So let's get the last one in, and then we'll do some more conversation. We're doing really good on time.
Ready?
Ready.
Go. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks for coming in today. Here's the application for you. Just want you to go ahead and fill out just that top portion there. Do you have any questions about what we covered today?
No, I'm just, man, I'm really hungry.
Yeah, food's on its way. I'll go and chop on it. Go ahead and fill that top portion out there. I'll be back to check on you as that food's coming out here to make sure everything's going okay. You sure you're okay with questions?
No, I don't have any question. And again, why do I have to fill this out?
Yeah, so this is simply just your personal information. There's no commitment here. All I'm asking for is just your name, date of birth, things like that. It's nothing important if you do decide to protect yourself. We have that already right there for you, okay?
Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
How we doing, Carl? We got that filled out for you?
I do.
Excellent, excellent. So I just heard they are bringing food out here shortly here.
Okay.
Looks like we got your name here, no spouse or partner or anything like that?
Well, no, my wife's at home.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Just kind of taking it easy for the day?
Yeah, and,
So you have to do all the dirty work.
yeah, well, and I'm just here to get information, and I have to involve her.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead and jot her name down there for you, as well as her birthday there, just in case you guys do have something there for you. Now, you mentioned your wife's at home there, she sent you out to do all the hard work today.
Yep.
Awesome. So that's what we're gonna do today, do all the hard work. So you guys would be looking at any of our family memberships here. Now, personally, for you guys, just based on what I can tell from you being in shape like you are, I'm gonna say let's do that lifetime membership for you and your wife there. That way, we get you guys covered.
Stand right through this.
Love it.
Well, you know, are you married?
No.
I've been married for 40 years.
Congratulations.
And, there's no way, we agree, we don't make decisions like this. Does she know you're here today? She does.
Yes, okay. So, the fact that she let you come out here by yourself to listen to the information, you're the one that had the education that we provided today, so you're the best to make the decision.
All right. Oh, let me at least give her a call, just let her know what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Give her a call, and if she wants to talk to me, just wave me down, okay?
All right, thanks.
Nice.
All right, Carl, what'd the boss lady say?
Well, one, she said, without her looking at this closely, there's no way we're spending $5,000. And, you know, I told her that there's some other options, and I see there's one on here for $49. So I said, you know, she's like, well, that's less of a risk. If that's something if I were to do that $49, am I locked in, or can I cancel that?
Yeah, so the 49 is gonna be our monthly plan here, though. The thing is, I mean, think about that. You pay $49, let's call it for 3 years. Where's that $49 for 3 years going? Nowhere, right?
Well, 3 years, that would be paying near $1,500. That'd be paying, I'd only owe like $4,000 on that.
Well, no, the monthly is a month-to-month option, so this is why our lifetime plans are gonna be our best option for you. This is a one-and-done situation. You don't ever have to think about me or Massa ever again, because we're just gonna simply be there to cover you guys whenever you need help. So with this purchase right there on that lifetime, you said you don't wanna spend over $5,000. Well, the good news is, this is only $4,900.
Yeah, that's still $5,000. Can we finance that over time, so it looks something like that?
Yeah, you can. There's gonna be an initial down payment, so some participation on your side, so that down payment, then you can do installments based on a 20-month period. Here's the thing though, with 20 months of installments, you're paying $10 a month, so you're overpaying for a product that you don't need to overpay for. So what we do generally prefer and recommend for you guys, only because you get rewards, cashbacks, things like that. You have a travel card, is it a cashback card?
Yeah, I got a miles card.
Miles card, great. So with the purchase of this plan right here, you guys are going to somewhere else for free.
And to be clear, you didn't address it, can I cancel if she decides I should have done this?
On the monthly or the
Well,
lifetime?
either one, can I
Yes,
cancel
you
it?
can. There is a guarantee, 30 days. Federal law will require 72 hours, so we're comfortable with our product. Less than 2% of the members that sign up actually end up canceling their membership itself.
Okay, all right. Let me just give it a little more thought.
Yeah, go ahead and circle that right there for us. That's the lifetime plan there.
This one?
Yep. And then just right here, you're gonna do that discount there. So it's 5,500 minus 600 is 49.
Okay.
And then 4960 is gonna be that total amount, so your initial payment today is 4960. Go ahead, jot down that credit card information, come back by, have you sign, print, and date, and then I'll sign and give you my agent ID number, okay?
Okay? Yeah, let me give her another call.
Good. All right, Carl. Any other questions the wife has for us?
Yeah, I asked you about paying, spread that out. You kind of mentioned that it was there, but I still don't know what that is. What is that?
Yeah, so with the initial down payment, you do a initial down payment, it's about $1,000, you're gonna be paying on that for about $200 each month for the next 20 months. Again, you're paying total $200 in installment charges.
What do you mean installment charges?
So it's based on a 20-month installment plan.
Yeah.
So each month there's a $10 installment charge for that installment plan itself. So that means every month, you're paying $10 extra for that plan that you're making payments on.
And I don't do that, I like to spread it out over payments if I could, but I don't do interest or extra charges.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the reason that we always ask for that credit card or debit card information, that way you guys can be one and done with that. And then that way, with that, you guys are just paying on your normal credit card.
All right, cool, thanks. Okay, thoughts on that? I want to backtrack on one. Sometimes it's real quick on hers, how that first touch. I think sometimes we get caught up in, it sounds weird having to fill out the top. Oh, so I can get paid, fill this out, all this stuff. I like what she said when she came up. I said, why do I need to fill that out? So I know how to address you when I come back to the table, right? Because there's a lot of people in here. Unassuming, it didn't, oh, sure, okay. Yeah,
I
there's 20
love
people.
that every time you pushed it away, you pushed it back.
Right, yeah, get it right back for the person, yeah. But anyway, all right, input on that, because we hit that a lot, right? I know they said to avoid it, and again, to Clancy's defense, when he said avoid one-leggers, he meant don't start with the one-leggers. We don't avoid them, our room's full of them sometimes, right? But that one-legger is there without their spouse, and it's a good excuse. I can't believe like that, somebody's there. How did he handle that? How do you think he handled that? Any input?
I love this question. Did she know?
What's that?
I love this question. Does she know you're here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Would it make sense when you're asking about payment options, right?
Yep.
So that's a buying signal. And would it make sense to be like, absolutely, of course, we can do that. Congratulate you on the decision
Seal the
to
sale.
move forward. So let's go ahead and check this, because this is the option that you're doing, and then we can soften it and get you to pay full, right?
Yeah, and actually that sounds a lot like what Brittany did, right? He agreed to the monthly, and she's like, congratulations, let me get your stuff. It's almost like she was like, the sale's over, right? Did it, cool, let me get your stuff, good, but she was masterful, right? Fill out the top, fill out the bottom, payment information, didn't mention that middle and all. Okay, good, I know you're a member, that's done, that part's out of the way. So yeah, that's a good point, right? Do we wanna grab that if they mention payments? And then it's going back to the top-down selling of reminding them why that doesn't make sense, or how that's gonna cost them.
I think it varies per person that's in front of you.
Yeah.
Right? What if they're really finicky and they've agreed, so you just wanna get it done and done, right? What if they have their personalities, they have more questions? So I think it kinda can vary per person on how you deal with it.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And there's a balance, because you have to be, I kept nudging, I had a new rep next to me, Teresa, brand new. And I kept telling her, pay attention, right, with how assertive, I think that's the word. You said, so some people would say bossy, but we have to control that room, and we've only got this little bit of time. And I remind reps, like, we can complain all we want about, hey, call me later, call me later. Guess who's calling them tomorrow?
Nobody.
Yeah, guess who's calling them tomorrow?
Corporate.
Corporate, right? They have given us, it's not my lead, they've given me that lead for 2 hours, right? Game on, here's my opportunity for 2 hours. And so don't be ashamed, you're not there to be your friends, you're not gonna be at their cookout in a little bit. When he said ruffle feathers, don't be a jerk, but you have to be assertive, and that's what I'm taking away from this, be assertive. And because if you don't get it now, what's the chance of getting it later?
Be fearless, right? Ask for the sale.
If it's a man, I won't do this with a lady, but if it's a man that says, I need to check with my wife, I go, and I've usually got a good enough rapport before the seminar starts with most of the people, with the 6 that's in my room. And when he says, I need to check with my wife or give her a call, I go, hand me your man card. I'm embarrassing. You're telling me you have to, did she ask you to marry? Did she ask you to marry, or did you? No, I'm just kidding. If you need to talk to your wife, go ahead.
Kevin.
I just have fun.
In his way,
I have fun with it.
in his way, it's correct, right? Because you can always talk about, especially with the one-leggers. So you are married, you have a significant other, yes, and how long you guys been together? We've been together for 15 years. And then you just talk about that relationship and how that trust has been built over 15 years. And all I'm saying to you is go home, sign up today, talk to your wife. She's certainly not gonna be upset that you said, hey, I made a decision to protect us. We can now have the conversation.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier. When are we supposed to be overcoming our objections?
Before the
Throughout the presentation.
Okay, the presentation's over, and if you're trying to overcome a one leg entirely at that point, that's really hard. Wouldn't it be a whole lot easier at the beginning that you come in and say you're married, right? You introduce, I say, hey, are you married? You know, you find out early, yeah, that's what I hear. You see a lot of you make decisions all on your own. You know, you empower someone, and they're gonna be like, hey, I can make decisions, who do you think I am? And they'll admit it early that they're good. I don't need no, I had a group of ladies and they flat out said, we don't need no husbands to tell us what to do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that tidbit, right? Because later I'm gonna come and you're gonna try, I need to call my husband. Wait a minute. You already told me you don't need his permission, right? So learn it early, overcome it. Now overcoming doesn't mean it's gone. They're gonna pull it back out again. But you have to try to figure it out early and overcome it early.
That's right.
That way you have some defense at the table. Because if you're just blindsided with, I need to call my wife, okay. And don't sell to yourself. I am wired, I'd be a horrible customer, because guess what? I would want to call my wife. If I agree and go, I understand, yeah, that's what I need to do. Call me when you talk to her. You know, don't sell to yourself, right? I'm here to make money off of you. Sell to them. And being in sales, by the way, the worst thing you can do is get into the trick of selling to yourself, because a successful sales mindset, you know what part of the population our mindset is? It's really small. There's about 5% of the people in the country that could do this type of thing, selling to people. It's not everybody. And if I think everybody's thinking like me, I've lost.
Yeah.
And we get caught up thinking people think like me, so therefore I understand. No, I'm gonna sell to you, don't sell to me.
Think of this, when two people are at a table and meet in this situation we're talking about, one of you gets sold.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, remember, not in the sense that they're being evil about it, but buyers are liars. Again, remember I said about buying a washing machine. I need one, but I'm still gonna tell them I don't, right? So don't just accept it as a fact. You had your hand.
Yeah, I just think that we have a really great advantage on our pre-calls to already overcome the one-legger situation. Who are you bringing with you? Yeah. Do you have a spouse or somebody that makes buying decisions with you that would like to have lunch with us? I mean, we have the opportunity to get ahead of that before we even have to overcome it in the presentation or at the table. So I think that's really important in our calls.
Yeah, and obviously the thing you started with, right? When does this all start? It doesn't start when I'm greeting them walking in the door of Red Lobster. It started with that pre-call, right? It started doing a little bit of homework, getting them to feel comfortable. Hey, I really do want to meet Amanda. She sounds great. And you've asked. And I've heard reps say, hey, are there any decision makers that need to come with you today? That maybe you're not being intrusive and asking if they're married, or if they're recently widowed or something you feel uncomfortable. Are there any decision makers? Well, yeah, my son. Anybody you can bring him with you? Just have them bring him with you. And let them know, because we're going to show something to you, and you're going to be forced to never going to ask you to make a decision. And again, overcoming that objection, we're giving information. Let them know early. Like I've heard good reps right at the opening say, hey, just so you know, when we get done with this day, I'm going to ask you to make a decision. Boom, get their mind thinking that now's the time to think about it, because you're going to be asked to make a decision. Right, overcome those objections early. Any other input real quick?
Carl pushed back a couple times about filling out the top of the form. What we used to say, and I don't know if we still train that or not, we used to just simply tell them that filling out the top of the form is how I report to my company the meals that I
That's
get.
just how I pay for lunch. That's how I do it every
That's
time.
what we say, we're not feeding the homeless, right? We're not feeding everybody.
And then everybody fills it out because they're all there for the
Lunch.
That's right.
And that way, and I think one other thing is you wanna be really careful on the phones just with pre-qualifying, cause then people won't show up. They'll think, oh, they're trying to sell me something and they won't show up. So just be very, very, very careful about that. That's the one input I have.
Go ahead, they were nailing it, but for me, when I do my one-leggers and they say I have to talk to my spouse, I ask them directly, what are you interested in talking to your spouse? Are you talking about your bill, or are you talking about a concern of your health? Because if you're going through something traumatic and you're worried about talking to your wife, she's not gonna worry about the finances, she's gonna worry about you. So you're making the executive decision right now, so she doesn't have any worries is what you wanna do.
Right, and that's good. Find out what that conversation is and why it's happening. And you can also, there's a psychological thing of bringing the person that's not there into the conversation. It's that, like you said, understand, acknowledge, right, respond. I get that. If your son was here, what would he say? Well, I think he would have liked it. If your son was here, what would he think about that pricing? Well, he would probably tell me to do that. If your son was here, how would he tell you to pay for that? How does he usually tell you to pay for bigger items? Get them to hear that they know what that person would be saying, right? Now, it's not gonna guarantee the sale, but it helps lower the bar and lets them take a little bit of their defenses off, because they're hearing the person they know and love, and they know how they're gonna respond.
They do.
Like, I know for a fact, even though I say I gotta talk to my wife, I know that if I say, hey, here's this thing, it's important for us, I know she's gonna say yes, right? I know she's gonna say, yeah, I trust you. But if I say, hey, I found this $5,000 sniper rifle that I found at Gander Mountain, can I just buy it? No, what are you talking about? But I know those decisions she's going to say yes about, right? We know our spouses. So do they. It's an excuse. Yes.
There's so many times where what they're telling you is not the real objection.
Right.
Sure. And that's probably sometimes the biggest key. When you're there by yourself, the easiest thing to say is, oh, I need my wife to be here, I need to talk to my spouse. But it's not actually what they mean. There is a deeper objection, so it's not just overcoming that objection, it's getting to the real one.
Dig deeper, right? Because that objection, what would, sometimes they'll tell you what the objection would have been if you asked them. What would they say? I had a lady one time, probably the most honest as could be. I said, okay, she kept going there with her husband. Listen, if your husband was right here and he heard exactly this exact same thing, what would he say? And she didn't even pause. She said he would say, there's no way at all we would do something like this ever. I know him. He would not buy something like this. He just won't. Like, I'm like, oh, well, thank you for telling me that. I mean, but there's sometimes it's like, you know what, I gotta talk to them, because we gotta figure out, you find out they're in a financial really bad strain. It's about the money, it isn't about that.
I gotta ask, I had a lifetime from the last seminar that has had to cancel because his wife refuses to attend the seminar. I tried to get them to sit down to lunch individually, and she refuses to do anything. And DJ just told me, go ahead and send it up to have it canceled. I tried to get him to book in. I'm just curious, is there any ideas about how that might be overcome?
Yes. What do you do with people that they're not there? What have you, I'm throwing you on the spot. What do you do? What have you learned to do with those?
I host a private webinar for them, and I'll even do it sometimes.
She's refusing, period.
She won't even get on the phone?
Sometimes.
No phone, no lunch, nothing.
I can just like a little, like a quick, like.
That's gonna be a loss.
That says, hey, I'm Amanda,
Yeah,
I'm
listen up.
your Massa agent. These are the reasons why your husband finds value in this coverage. We're gonna protect you with this, this, and this. I'm here to answer any other questions. And then if she clicks on it, she's kinda gotta hear what I have to say. And then if she finds interest in that afterwards, hopefully she'll keep it. But-
And there are, let's be honest, right? There are impossible situations.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, I always tell, we gotta remember and keep things in perspective. 20 RSVPs, if you just have 3 sales, you're a freaking rock star. We've had these people that were going, holy cow, 13-14% conversion, right? That's not even 3 sales for every 20.
Yeah.
And they're a rock star making a ton of money. So even if you reduce it down to, there's 20, if I get 2, I'm doing pretty damn good, right? So don't get caught up with the 18. Those are gonna happen. And keep in mind, the 18 is a part of the pie.
It is.
Right? It's part of the pie. If you think of sales that way, right, a pie should be good. But if you're just eating the baking soda's awful. But without the baking soda, you're gonna have no pie.
Right?
Right?
I love it.
So it's part of your month. Accept them. It is part of the real.
Thank you.
Amazing. I just want to say amazing. This really, as salespeople, gets all of our brains thinking about different things. And that's the most important thing to remember, is we're dealing with all different people. But at the end of the day, we're all humans. We have to find out what's important to them. We're selling something intangible. Like you said, that's so hard to do, right? We don't have a brand new shiny car. We don't have a couch. We have to sell fear in a way that they want to buy it. Whatever that may be important to them, whether it be their grandchildren, whether it be a group, whether it be that they fall and they don't have a husband to pick them up off the ground, right? So if you can find a way in, look for that way in and overcome those objections like dominoes, and do it quietly and celebrate the wins loudly, right?
Not only the objections, if you have not planted that uncertainty and the what if, Because, I mean, imagine, I keep going back to washing machines. Imagine if we had a company structured just like us, and we marketed to people that their washing machine was broken. To come to a seminar, to hear a seminar about my particular brand of washing machine. And they say, Carl, I loved it, let me think about it. They are thinking about it because the laundry's piling up, right? And they're going to call someone, whether it was me or the other dude, that person's thinking about it. We're selling a product they don't need today. They might not need tomorrow, and my averages they might not need in 5 years. How do we raise that bar and make them realize that, hey, the what if, right? You're selling that kind of peace of mind. We forget, we start out with peace of mind, but then we just kind of forget that a lot of times. So that's the biggest benefit of all 40 now, peace of mind. If we haven't sold that, we're gone. Real quick, I know we're about 2 minutes away from our deadline. Objection that we really haven't talked about a whole lot, because I hear it all the time, because it's the biggest lie out there. I never make a decision the same day.
Yes.
Right? You know, isn't no a decision? Right. No is a decision, right? And I used to work for Renewable Anderson. Right? We used to call it a yes, no, maybe clause. And I'm always telling people, a decision is a decision. I'm good with a yes or a no. That is a decision. A maybe means I didn't do my job. I left you wondering. I left you I didn't do something. Right? So if you're going to leave, you've really decided no, and guess what? I gave you permission to make a decision today. You made a decision to not do anything. Right? So that is a lie. Get them beyond that.
Yeah.
Let's agree you're making a decision. Now let's see if you can make the right one. What's the best decision? Right? So anyway, lunch is at noon.
Thank you so much, Carl, for leading this.